Enchanted Rock is truly, more than anything else, a place that lives up to its name. The dome towers above the surrounding country, shrouded in the misty spring rains of central Texas. Everything about it defies the landscape it's born from. Huge pieces of flat rock sit eerily along its slopes, as if layers of the rock were slowly sliding away. Mist clings to the air all around it in the spring, punctured by the creatures high and low that stalk amongst the rain. Slick, towering walls of granite rise above the jagged rocks below and crest to create one of the most unique formations in all of Texas. Natives and early Spanish explorers alike had plenty of reasons to believe in the rock's enchantment. At night, strange pools of water on the top of the rock reflect moonlight like a beacon. During sunset on hot summer nights, the rock itself seems to shift and ring like a bell. We know today that the sounds of the rock come from hollow portions expanding and contracting during dusk as the temperature cools down, causing a ringing to echo throughout its hollow chambers. The rock itself is what's known as an exfoliation dome, a formation created when molten granite slowly rises above the surface like a giant bubble and cools over the course of millions of years. As the surface around the dome changed over time, the granite hardened into distinct layers, which created the hollow points inside, and is the reason why it looks like a giant layer of rock is slowly peeling off the top. When featuring animals in these videos, I always try to showcase things that I can personally see in film. I've been to plenty of places where I had hoped to find a certain species to talk about, but never saw it or wasn't able to get a good shot of it, and ended up choosing not to feature it. The reason for this is that I've always felt that seeing real footage is so much better than just seeing an image from Google. It feels more real, and the idea is to feature not just something that's cool, but something you might actually get to see if you go. For this case, though, I want to make an exception. As I made it about 3/4 of the way up the rock, the mist finally turned into a downpour, and the rock became too slick to make it to the top. I didn't want to risk going any farther, but I couldn't skip out on showing what lies just past these sliding rocks here. Because, tucked into a few tiny pools at the top of Enchanted Rock, is one of the most alien creatures in all of Texas. Pretty much everything about them seems wrong. They're only found in Oregon and California, with just a handful of exceptions in Texas, but they're not invasive. They only live underwater, yet can survive more than 15 years on dry rock. They swim upside down, breathe through their legs, and appear out of nowhere. And above all else, they look like they belong in the ocean, about as far away as possible from a giant barren rock in central Texas. Fairy shrimp. The bizarre shrimp here are actually best explained by the pools of water that they live in. The little puddles you see here are called vernal pools, small isolated pockets of water that contain some kind of life that lives entirely within a single pool. Vernal pools can be found most anywhere, from tiny pools here at the top of Enchanted Rock to small ponds that pop up in roadside ditches after a rainstorm. They are typically full of water for extended periods, sometimes for full seasons, but dry up during certain parts of the year. What makes living in a vernal pool so unique is that the shrimp here are the only ones that call these vernal pools here home. They don't have to compete with any other species for food or worry about other predators in the water, because nothing else could survive here. But how do they survive? And how did they get here? When the pools on top of Enchanted Rock dry up in the summer, the shrimp have nowhere to go, and the adult shrimp from the previous season die off. However, clinging to the rock where the water used to be are tiny clusters of eggs, biding their time and waiting for the seasons to change. When the rain comes back and the pools fill up again, these eggs hatch, and a few weeks later, the new shrimp will lay more eggs on the rock before the pools dry up again. Fairy shrimp eggs have been found to be able to survive an astonishing 16 years out of water before hatching, meaning that the shrimp eggs here are more than capable of riding out the dry season before the next rainfall. As for how they got here, the leading theory was born when park workers noticed small migratory seabirds like sandpipers stopping to feed from the pools on the top of Enchanted Rock. The idea is that at some point in history, a seabird ate a fairy shrimp and then headed north for its migration. When it stopped on the top of Enchanted Rock to drink from the vernal pools, it pooped out eggs from the shrimp, which were able to survive until they could hatch into the water. The fairy shrimp themselves have 11 pairs of legs and 4 antennae, and unusually appear to swim upside down. They eat algae that grows on the sides of the vernal pools, and besides the occasional bird stopping to eat a few, they generally live a peaceful and undisturbed life. While they're extremely rare in Texas, they aren't invasive, as for the most part they only affect the pools that they live in, and they aren't endangered either. They're simply rare due to the incredible odds of them ending up here at all. Even if I had made it to the top, there's no telling if I would have seen them, as even on days where the pools are full, there's no guaranteeing if the eggs have hatched. But if you're ever near Enchanted Rock after a fresh rainfall, take a hike up to the top, and you might just see a few.